Big shout out to today's video sponsor, Linsoul. Check out their fantastic deals in the links in the video description. SIMGOT, a company that up until now I honestly hadn't heard of. They make some of the most pleasing, smooth and downright luxurious IEMs that I have ever tried, certainly in this price category anyway, because of course these are just $40. So what makes them sound so great? That will all be revealed in my upcoming review of the SIMGOT EW200. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas. Big thanks to Linsoul for sending out today's subject matter. And yes, I'm going to be calling them the 200s because EW200, every other sentence, it's not on. Links to Linsoul will be in the video description where you can find all their good deals. Before I get into why I think these are some of the best IEMs in their price category, we're going to be talking about the accessories and the build quality. You get 6 silicone ear tips, 1 clear twisted wire which feels pretty nice, overly nice I would say for this price point, a little carrying pouch which is honestly leagues ahead of what you got with the Echo OH10s, and of course the IEMs themselves. The cable has a fixed 3.5mm end which some might not like, but I mean come on, it's $40. The cable is weirdly nice, it's a braided kind of setup, really cool, better cable than I've seen in IEMs that are double this price. And the carrying pouch, whilst it's maybe not ideal, it is nice to have and I do appreciate it. The 200s have a metal shell, which has its pros and its cons. I like the way that the cold metal feels when you first put them in your ear. Some people don't like that. They don't feel overly heavy. They don't feel much heavier than really a resin-based setup. It's not like the Echo OH10s where it's just pure copper in your ear. It's definitely lighter than that, and actually comfort I found was pretty decent. It's middle of the road in terms of weight and the nozzle length as well, so fit should be pretty standard and they should fit your ears just fine. Also, the cable connector is a 2-pin setup, a standard 2-pin, so you can put any 2-pin you wanted on here, make it balanced, make it wireless if you want with some of the cool wireless adapters out there. I need to get my hands on some of those. And yeah, you can just swap stuff out, which is really nice to have, especially at this price point. Add in the fact that it's a metal shell, nice cable, little pouch as well. A lot of good value going on here. It's a single 10mm dynamic driver setup, which is as basic as it gets really, and it means that they're cheap to implement and tuning should be, in theory, pretty easy. The hardware isn't crazy specialist and overly complicated, and I used this IEM in a combination with the FIO K5 Pro, the iFi Zendac V2, as well as my ITB03 from Echo and sort of some basic headphone adapters. What I got is that there is a difference when you move around, there's a different sound profile. These dynamic drivers tend to pick up more on what the amplifier is doing versus some others that don't react so aggressively to each DAC. And actually when you put the true bass on the Zendac V2 and you wear these, it is like almost you're being assaulted. It's quite aggressive. I quite like that. Not for extended periods, for like 5 or 10 minutes of listening, it's cool to just get like this serious, like, you know, 2 12-inch subwoofers rumble in your ear. But you know, it's not great for extended periods, and you just turn true bass off and these return back to their admittedly still pretty good bass response. The sound profile is bright but warm. This means that the upper mids are quite forward, and that could get fatiguing, but at least for me, and I've tried a fair few sets of IEMs, it wasn't fatiguing. If you're sensitive to that kind of frequency range or sibilance, maybe you want to steer clear and go with something else, but it's really not harsh. Actually, one of the best parts of the 200s is the smoothness, the creaminess of the upper mids. It's forward and it's clear, but it's also like incredibly smooth and easy to listen to for long periods. And that's a huge plus, especially at this price range where most IEMs are kind of in a V shape. So you get plenty of treble, plenty of bass. The mids tend to be quite recessed. These is sort of not necessarily the opposite, but the mids are very much present and correct. That means that listening to, you know, whether it's cymbals and stuff or female vocals, anything towards the upper end of the frequency response graph, it's easy to listen to and it's quite addictive. It makes you want to listen to more. I actually found that the SIMGOT EW200s were particularly good for listening to live recordings where there's lots of stuff going around, because The soundstage and the imaging is really good with these. It's not excellent, it's not S tier, it's not throw away your $1,000 IEMs for these. You know, I would say there are better sets out there for this. But for $40, and I've just mentioned great cable, you know, a pouch, good build quality, good mid-range, good bass, pretty amazing mid-range actually. You combine all that and they still get the imaging and soundstage fairly right. It is a rare combination and one that I very much appreciate. So listening to music, like I said, live recordings, but also playing video games where you need to hear what's around you. These are good, really good, especially when you consider all those other things I just spoke about. So a really well-rounded package for $40. Are these going to blow away, you know, people with much more expensive sets? Maybe not. They kind of blew me away though, and ideally some much more expensive sets. You know, these are smooth. That means there's going to be a thin layer of just haze over everything. It's not necessarily noticeable when you're using them, but when you switch to something that doesn't have that and is more clear, it's more resolute, you tend to go, oh, okay, this is what I've been missing out on. When you're using them though, when you're using the EW200, they're just so easy to listen to, but also give you all that detail. I'll give you an example. I said in my review of the Kiwi's Cadenza and Quartet that they're easy to listen to because they're quite a dark sounding, warm sounding IEM that don't have crazy amounts of detail and mid-range. But because these have that mid-range and have been tuned so well into the mid-range, you know, so that it's not fatiguing, it just gives you almost a superpower that you can listen to stuff that's maybe a little bit more intense for more hours at a time and not feel fatigued. Yeah, quite staggering. It's very rare that an IEM at $200 gets this right, let alone one at $40. So I just really wanted to focus on that because it was a standout feature of the EW200s. Good bass, good sub bass, excellent mids. Treble is pulled back a bit. You're going to notice that if you have other sets that have better treble. But I didn't feel listening to these like I was greatly missing out on treble. I was just more impressed with the mid-range and the imaging. For $40, these are really hard to go wrong with. I have another review coming, not sure which one's going to come out first, this or the FIO FD11, which I've reviewed, I just haven't put together yet. And it is also a $40 set with a decent cable, no case though, and with a metal housing, but does things differently. So I recommend you check out that video and this one to work out what you want to be buying for your $40. Big thanks to Linsoul for sending this IEM out. Please do check out their links in the video description. They're always supportive of the channel. They've been great to me over the past year or so, so check those out. They always have good deals on there. Their shipping is pretty quick as well from China. And yeah, I've never had to pay import fees or anything. They've always been really good with that. So check out Linsoul. Thanks to them for supporting the channel. And also to you for watching, and my patrons for being continually supportive. I'm Ryan Thomas, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.